on this week's episode of Tides of Lore.
You are probably the greatest orc since the last level 5 orc I saw come through here.
Honestly, not a bad idea.
Every arrow reclaimed, every soldier healed, every battle won feeds into the greater campaign.
When do you start or stop being ethical? You know?
While you might be the greatest warrior in the world, when a 2,000-pound glaive comes crashing into your body, it does the same thing to you that it does to most creatures.
Tides of Lore hype.
This wonderful war chief, Garrosh Hellscream.
That's where they draw the line.
They must continue feeding the fires of the Horde war machine.
Every episode of Tides of Lore is made possible by our amazing supporters. Thank you so much to Xander Harris, Jake Hilpert, Pewter City Gym Leader, Arulianus, The Away Fan, Insulin FTW, Bubba BSE, Arez Jerry, Watto21, and Mo. Your guys' support truly means the world to us, and if you guys would like to join the tide, check us out on YouTube or Patreon. Hello everybody and welcome to the 49th episode of Tides of Lore. My name is Robert Silva. I'm one half of your host team, joined as always by the man who has never died while playing World of Warcraft. Timothy Warcraft, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing well. I mean, I've definitely died before, just not on camera. I'm good, man. I don't know. I haven't really been playing much WoW. I've been playing Pokemon Legends ZA. It's been fun, man. A lot of people are hating on it, but I'm actually really enjoying it. Fun new system. I think the graphics are good. People are dogging on it, but you forget every Pokemon game has fucking sucked for graphics. So actually, I booted it up and I was like, dang, the faces, the textures. Yeah, people are saying the buildings look like shit, but I think everything else looks pretty good, man. I do. I've been just playing Nintendo Switch, chilling out.
I'm here for it.
What about you?
Well, first, I'm a firm believer in standing your ground, no matter what the internet says, because I think the internet will shit on anything. But for me, I've been doing not much. I've been editing the podcast. I've been playing a little bit of hardcore with you this last weekend, which was a good bit of fun. I think I'm just old, Tim, because this weekend hit and I was like, it's time to play video games. Like I actually finished editing the podcast pretty early. It's like it's time to do all the fun stuff, and then I slept for like 16 hours every single day.
That's called depression. You don't just sleep 16 hours.
No.
I slept 9 hours today and I was like, oh shit, damn, I overslept. There's no way you sleep 16 hours. There's no way.
It wasn't one solid, session, but I got up, I ate, I bathed, and then I got back in bed.
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that, but it was some good sleep, I'll tell you that much. So I haven't done too much outside of that. My buddy Jojo, bought me this game, like Odyssey Cube or something like that. It's basically Minecraft meets No Man's Sky. The jury's still out on how I'm feeling about that game. It's
that sounds terrible. I hate both those things.
See, and I like both of those things, but I don't know if this is like it. So I've been a bit disappointed in that. Oh, I played Helldivers 2 for a bit. Yeah, I've been playing a bit more Helldivers 2, which was a really good time for me. And yeah, I've just been enjoying occasionally dropping into some random Xbox players' lobbies, lighting up some bugs, robots, and or aliens, and getting out of there.
I'm a Space Marine 2 fan myself. I don't know. I can't do Helldivers.
The eternal debate with us. But at the very least, you are my only friend still that plays Space Marine 2, so I only really play with you
whoa.
and our friends. My bad. Hold on.
Whoa, there's a guy who listens to this episode every week who's gonna hear that in
him slamming on his brakes right now, and
wow, that was something.
No, Kyle, that's not what I meant. I just meant that you two are the only ones that I play that game with, and typically I only play it with both of you at the same time. Meanwhile, I have other friends that do play Helldivers too, like Jojo, and Bub's been wanting to get back into it too, and yeah, just more people. But something I did real quick want to talk about that was interesting to me that you ended up telling me about last week that I am so curious about, and it's been itching at my mind ever since you mentioned it, that there's going to be this title for defeating the Nemesis boss in the Midnight expansion, if you defeat it within the first 1,000 people.
Are you gonna do it?
I want to do it.
You just play a tank demon hunter. Boom, you're good.
Well, and I've already, like, I definitely, like, I don't know for sure about, like, the ones that I have done, but, like, I week 2'd Kaivesa. Yeah, I week 2'd Kaivesa. I don't remember what I did Underpin, but it was before the like, mid-patch. So, and that one was hard as shit. I don't even know how many people did that. I don't know if 1,000 people even managed to complete that entire thing. I definitely was behind on Zekfir, but, oh, man, I'm like, I want to try it, but I'm also scared because at the very least when I was doing Kaivesa and stuff like that, I was just like, I was able to just stand up and go stretch and go eat and be like, you got to take your breaks. You got to, slow and steady wins the race. There is no reason to rush at this. Like, you'll get her down. And then I did. But if I have something in the back of my mind, like, oh, man, what if I'm at, 970 dudes already? I don't know, man.
I don't know if there's going to be a counter.
Oh, I know it's not actually going to tell me, but that's what my mind's going to tell me to.
I see.
And then I'm going to rush back into the fight, and I'm going to lose my mind while doing it. Even worse than... We'll see, though. But I would love to get that title. Something like that would be really cool for me, because I don't think I've really ever achieved something that exclusive. Like, I've never done anything like a world first or anything like that that I could even remotely equate that to. So that would be fun for me.
Well, then do it. Stream it.
I'll try. I'll definitely give it a good college try. I'm going to need a nice strategy going into midnight to get nice and geared pretty quick. I'm going to sweat, apparently. But yeah, that's just something I wanted to throw out there because that's something that I've been pondering over this last week. And also last week, we had comments last week. You guys had some stuff that you wanted to let us know about, some stuff that you wanted to discuss with us about what we ended up going over. Tim, what comment did you end up wanting to highlight last week?
Time Lost Crow said, you want a great discussion? Night Elves have a rule about no magic, yet the Wardens clearly use magic via enchantments, skills, and weapons. The question, why is it you think the Wardens believe that the tools they use don't count as using magic? There's a clear stigma when it comes to different magic types, arcane, fel, shadow, death, light, etc. To me, they all have their costs. Is it almost like I was thinking, if you can't beat them, join them, but only a select few in their culture can do it, not everyone, because if everyone does it, chaos ensues, but I don't know.
Well, and we also did get info that not all of the Wardens were down with what was going on, but the way I see it, at least for the ones that are kind of fanatically loyal to Maiev, is this idea that, like, well, yeah, what we're doing is bad, but because we're doing on bad people, or at least who we perceive to be bad people, it's not wrong. Like, and it is kind of like that. You if you can't beat them, join them, but it's almost like, well, they're going to do it to us, so why shouldn't we do it to them? Right?
But then where does the line ever stop if you live at that mentality, right? When does it become
all of Maiev's character, though?
Crossing the line, war crimes. When do you start or stop being ethical?
Well, I would say at slaughtering innocent people who are trying to parlay with you for.
Well, and the only reason she stopped is because someone stopped her.
She got caught. Yeah. I mean, I think that they're interesting characters for sure to have, but I mean, they're definitely, like, after learning about this incident, I'm like, damn, this is like the worst. It's hard for me to say, like, this is the worst thing that Maiev has ever done. Like, she did leave Tyrande, but, like, leaving Tyrande to die and fight the Scourge or whatever, right, is different from actively killing people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it definitely has spiraled pretty insanely, and we'll see if they have any repercussions for that. We'll see if the writers remembered that one.
We'll see.
But I wanted to highlight a comment over on Spotify, a returning commenter from, I believe, last week as well, Tacnic, saying, Lil Varian goes to organ therapy. Something that this episode got me thinking about is that we need more faction leader Makaraz or duels like Varian versus Malfurion. I want to say Varian would come out on top, but Blizzard glazes Malfurion too much for that to happen. Yeah, it's not happening, big dog.
We want more leaders to die.
Who do you think would win that matchup, and who else would you like to see 1v1 either in game or a separate story? I mean, I'll just go real quick here. First off, yeah, Varian is not winning that fight. Like, the War of the Ancients novels makes it pretty clear that, like, Malfurion could kill, like, 1,000 demons. Varian can kill, like, hundreds of demons. But I think that is a pretty clear bar that we've been given from the story, at least. But I do agree that I would love to see more fights between, like, the leaders. Because, like, as Tim has mentioned before, like, one of the most impactful scenes for Gen Greymane is his battle with Sylvanas that he'll have eventually. And I do think the game kind of lacks in some of those stories because they're so, or not even stories, but some of those, like, battles, just because often it feels like they kind of want to put us in the position to be the one to do the battling, which I do like, but at the same time, like, I do want to see these characters do cool stuff too. So I'm
been a
trying to
while.
think, has there even
It's been a while since anyone's done anything cool.
Like a leader versus a leader? I mean, you had Sourfang and Sylvanas. Yeah. Malfurion and Sylvanas. And,
I mean, we fought
Tyrande
Gallywix.
and fucking God. Honest. We did fight Gallywix. But the thing is like, what named character fought Gallywix before that, right? Like, what
yeah,
scene did
it
you
was
get that
the
was
named
like that?
goblins, right? Everyone holding against.
I get, but like, we don't see that happen. Like, we know it's happening, and we are participating in the revolt, but we don't see, like, it's not like Tyrion Fordring fighting with Arthas, right? At Light's Hope Chapel, at Icecrown Citadel. But I was really tired of at Icecrown Citadel when they were constantly having these named characters coming in and steal my kill. I earned that kill. Maev didn't earn Illidan either.
I don't know if Arthas was pretty damn strong. Really think we could have killed him? I don't know. The Ashbringers what did.
And you see, if we want to talk about glazing, why, right? What makes the Ashbringer so cool? What makes Tyrion so cool?
Let's look at our
So
past
much
episodes.
better than Uthers. And I agree. I do agree. But if we want to talk about Malfurion glazing, we should put that up there too.
Well, these
Pull up the
other
logs.
characters weren't boring.
Fair enough. Do you have any 1v1s that you'd like to see before we move into what we talked about last week?
Not that I can think of right now. No, there's not really anyone who has beef that.
I mean, I feel like a...
Well, maybe like a Sylvanas fucking versus who's the leader of the Blood Elves now? Lorthamar?
Lotharmar? Yeah, that would have been... actually would have been pretty crazy, given their history. I think if we could have gotten a true Jaina versus Garrosh fight, it's hard for me to imagine that kind of fight.
What do you
'cause
mean?
Garrosh
Mage
is
would
just
kite.
a warrior. And a mage. She's a frost mage,
He's
yeah.
a frost mage.
But, yeah, given how badass they showed her off to be, like, I don't know. I want to see Jaina do more cool stuff. I love Jaina Proudmoore. But yeah, I can't really think. If you guys have any interesting 1v1s that you'd be curious to kind of go over with us, I'd be really curious to see what you guys think. So let us know down in the comments there. But we're going to move into last week's episode, kind of what we discussed before we hop into this week's episode. Last week, we finished up the Wolfheart novel, kind of fully tying in Varian story with the Worgen and the Night Elves. What do you remember about last week, Tim?
Varian saved the wolves and they all held hands and joined the alliance.
I'm starting to think you just don't like people winning.
That's pretty much the gist of the story. I mean, there's more than that happened, but that's what I remember.
Yep, Tyrande nearly dies. The Sentinels nearly die. Garrosh gets his ass whooped by Varian. Let's not forget that this happened when we talked back to, like, who do you think would win in Ulduar, Garrosh or Varian? Now I definitely think Varian would have smoked his ass. We also had the story of Maev, like we kind of talked about in some of the comment stuff, and the Highborn, and how we've come to the conclusion that she is in fact a sicko murderer, and a lot of her wardens, including her second in command, Neva, is also a sicko murderer. And, well, Jared Shadowsong puts a stop to that, and they all hold hands and live happily ever after welcoming the Worgen into the Alliance. And I'm sure nothing bad will happen to Azeroth from here on out. Right, guys?
Ever.
Or any of these characters, for that matter.
All they need is sell expansions.
Alrighty. But, all of that out of the way, it's time to get into this week's episode. Hey, Tim. Did you know that Tides of Lore is a Patreon now?
Oh yeah? What do I get if I throw some support on Patreon?
You'll get ad-free episodes, a member shout-out, live stream access, and exclusive VODs, the full package.
So basically, skip the ads, get your name in the show, and help us keep telling Warcraft stories.
Exactly. Join the tide at patreon.com/tidesoflore. And I'll be honest with you guys, I really struggled on where I was gonna to get into the Cataclysm expansion, because ever since Arthas died all the way back in like episode 28, like fucking 5 months ago now, we've been in this prelude to the Cataclysm phase where we got all these character short stories and we got all these novels that are going on, and finally we've reached a point where again we're ready to talk about like the actual zones and gameplay, and it had me just sitting there scratching my head like, oh man, where'd he begin too? Because the Cataclysm changes everything, but
in a good way sometimes. I don't know, I've been enjoying
sometimes
going back and seeing it.
Like I've mentioned in the past, certainly having the option now to go back and play Classic and have the option for both versions of the game has given me a bigger appreciation for the Cataclysm zones. It's just a shame that, well, it took so much agony to get. But yeah, I do agree, and I think that having a world that actually updates with the world that you're supposed to be playing in, you know, the world of Warcraft that's supposed to feel like it's a world, not just different phases of different expansions, I think is really cool. So to toss a bone over to the Horde players of the world, we're going to talk about the Orc stuff. For most of the character stories, we ended up discussing kind of like, we would talk about Bane, and then we would talk about the intro, like the Cataclysm intro stuff for the Tauren. Or we would talk about Vol'jin, and then we would talk about the Troll intro quest for the Cataclysm. And, well, Garrosh has a short story, but we really talked about it more during the Northrend stuff when his character is first kind of introduced, because that's when the story majority takes place. And it didn't really leave us an option to talk about, well, where the Orcs are at now in the world. And that's what we're going to do today, because we're going to put you in the shoes of a nice, fresh, level 1 recruit out there in Durotar. You've heard about this grand new world out there, this wonderful war chief, Garrosh Hellscream, who's leading your people into a new era of grandeur.
The Great Cataclysm has shattered more than just the world. War Chief Thrall, arguably the most powerful living shaman, has left his people behind so that he might stop the Cataclysm at its source. Yet, in his absence, the Orc champion Garrosh Hellscream has become the Horde's new war chief. Though popular amongst the Orcs for his victories against the Lich King, Garrosh's reckless leadership has begun to cause a rift between himself and the other leaders of the Horde. With Durotar's natural resources nearly depleted, Garrosh seeks to take whatever his people need to survive, regardless of who stands in his way. A dangerous new era for the Horde has dawned, and it falls to brave Orcs like you to uphold the will of the new war chief and assure the dominance of your people.
So you got to get out there, you little level 1 Orc. You got to go and you got to do all sorts of stuff. So there you are, level 1 out in the southwest of Durotar.
And immediately you open up your collection tab and you get all your heirlooms.
You put on your what is it tier 2 that they?
I thought it was the 0.5 sets, but I could be wrong.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, 0.5 sets. You put on all your 0.5 gear. At least back when it gave you experience, it was a lot cooler. But hey, at least the stats still scale. But no, you don't do that, because you're in the world of Warcraft, out there in the southwest of Durotar in the Valley of Trials, where you're under the watchful gaze of this figure named Gornik. And you, well, go out and do all the exciting things that a level 1 Orc has to do to prove himself in the world. You gotta go out there, kill some boars. You gotta kill some minor demon imps. You gotta go and beat this super big, powerful, scary scorpion. And you do all those things. Not much has really changed in the Valley of Trials. But when all of this eventually happens, the Orc figures are like, hey, there have been some burning blade sightings that have made their way over to the Valley of Trials, and we need you to go handle them. So you're like, okay. And you go into this cave, and you murder all of these demons some more. And you murder all these burning blade, who seem to think that summoning demons is cool. Didn't they get the memo that summoning demons is, in fact, Not cool. But with all of
No.
that out of the way, you're playing a warlock, so obviously you don't understand what you're doing.
And you have green skin.
But yes, through all of this, they're like, cool, you've saved the Valley of Trials. You're ready to go out into the world, go meet up with your Dark Spear brethren over at the Senjin village. So you go, and you end up meeting with this figure known as Master Gadrin, who, if you might remember, is actually the witch doctor that ends up telling Zalazane and Vol'jin all the way back during Warcraft 3 that, like, yeah, you guys were lost in the jungle for like 3 months. We didn't know where the fuck we thought you died. So just nice to see these characters actually, pop up and still be somewhat relevant in the gameplay and whatnot. But he's just like, hey, yeah, so these humans cross this bay here over in the Barrens, this place called Northwatch Hold. They're being supreme shitheads. They're landing on Durotar's coast, and they plan even more of a grand scale invasion from Northwatch Hold. So you gotta go, and you gotta not let that happen. So obviously you do that. You go, you disrupt the enemy supply line, sabotaging all their operations, or eventually they're like, wow, you are probably the greatest orc since the last level 5 orc I saw come through here. Anyway, go ahead and get your ass over to Razor Hill. They're going to have more work for you. So you run on up north to Razor Hill, where eventually you're like, hey, the people down in Senjin Village said that they need reinforcements. And the guy there is just like, yeah, well, that's a shame because they're not getting them. Unfortunately, those troops, the ones from Northwatch, yeah, they've holed themselves up over in this keep, Tiergard Keep, and all these elementals are now growing restless in the area. So I've got bigger problems, and until you can handle that, you're not getting any reinforcements. So you're like, well, it's a good thing that I'm the greatest level 5 orc since the last level 5 orc. And you get out there. Since Thrall himself was level 5 back in Warcraft 3. But yes, you managed to save Durotar from these filthy pink-skinned invaders, pushing them out of Tiergard's Keep and managing to balance the elements and restoring Durotar from its turmoil, where eventually you meet up with this goblin who's like, hey, I work for the Bilgewater Cartel. We work with the Horde now. And we're up in Azshara, so you should come pay us a visit sometime. And you're like, okay. And they're like, but before that, I have this area where some of my friends are stuck at. It got flooded. It was in these lowlands during the Cataclysm. It got flooded. A bunch of our civilians and families are trapped in there. I need you to go get them. So you go. And you go and rescue all these people, and you do some little quests for them. But the only thing that I want to mention about this is the fact that the significant other for this character that you're on this quest for, his name is Thonk, which is oddly similar to Bonk, my first orc warrior in hardcore.
Glad I helped you name.
Oh, what a beautiful time that was. But yes, you go, you rescue all these people, and you manage to be a bigger hero, making your way up to what is probably like level 10 or something like this. Who knows? As you get more information that the Burning Blade has continued to spread their activity throughout Durotar, you are like, okay, well, I'll go handle those. So you go into this place that is unholy, a land of death and terror and fear known as Skull Rock.
I almost died there the other night.
Dude, it never stops being scary. Like, as we've played hardcore and we've gotten better at the game, I'm like, yeah, you just got to do it this way. You just got to handle this situation like this. Every time I go into Skull Rock, I'm like, what sadistic game dev was like, yeah, these guys should be level, 11 and have level 13 guards.
And hyper spawn.
And they should respawn instantly. But they're no match for you because you're the greatest. So you go in there, you destroy all their summoning rituals, and you kill all of these filthy cultists that are trying to summon these remnants of the Legion into the world. And with that, they're like, cool, you should head over to the city of Orgrimmar now. And you do. You go to the Dranashar Blockade, which is just the really fancy name for the front gate of Orgrimmar. And as you make your way through this bustling city, as it's still in full reconstruction mode following the Cataclysm and this big fire that broke out, and Garrosh being like, I think it needs more spikes and more metal and more probably skulls and, I don't know, throw some demon teeth on there. Through all of this, you remember, oh yeah, That guy told me I should go and see the Bilgewater up in Azshara. So you're like, cool. You continue your way up into Azshara. Now further to the northeast of Orgrimmar, they've built this new fancy gate that leads you right into there. So at least there's that. And as soon as you arrive, you realize after Garrosh's, like, you know, prideful excursion into Ashenvale, and somewhat of a, dare I say it, I mean, you would never catch me saying it within the walls of Orgrimmar, but failure and defeat in Ashenvale. Them Night Elves have grown a bit confident. Not only have they seemed to push the Horde entirely out of Ashenvale, at least to a degree, but they're even making their way all the way into Azshara itself. And just so that we're clear, the zone Azshara and this Bilgewater Harbor that this Bilgewater cartel has set up on it's just named Azshara. I don't know why Blizzard does this. They're just like, what if we just use the name again? Fuck it. Like, it's one of the most important lore characters in the game. We'll just fucking throw it on the map. Fuck it.
Sometimes their like choices with names is terrible.
It's the worst. And there's a character when we're going to talk about Ashenvale's story today too. And when you get to Ashenvale, there's a character named Draka, right? Like Thrall's mother. It's spelled the exact same way, except it has 2 A's instead of 1.
Amazing.
Whoever is at the naming department at Blizzard should be fired out of a cannon.
Or just nobody does it and they just don't know the names that they've come up with.
I imagine that they just have like a pretext and like a wheel that they spin. They're just like DRA, and then it's just like, all right. And they just throw it in there. They don't even think about it. But yes, the goblins and orcs have been laboring to industrialize this shattered zone, carving roads and factories into the cliff sides, and all of that. And that wonderful effort that this Horde war machine has been building towards is now under siege by those damn Night Elves. They don't know good. They should have kept themselves to their forests, and that's where you come in. So they're like, hey, we know that there are a bunch of Alliance spies about, and today, it's your duty to go in there and kill them. So you go about, you look for all these stealth Night Elves, and you rip their heads from their bodies. You take those heads back to your captain, and he gives you a promotion for it. And then he's like, unfortunately, though, it seems to have only pissed him off, because now they're attacking us. But he claps you on the back. He's like, at the very least, we have the guy that, rips heads off, so we'll be good. And he's absolutely right, because you stand there and you hold the line against this Night Elf mini siege, I guess you would call it, and it's no contest. You mash your 1 or 2 spells that you have at this level, and you absolutely turn all these Night Elves into paste. That'll teach them. But unfortunately, that's when you start getting hit by siege weapons. And while you might be the greatest warrior in the world, when a 2,000-pound glaive comes crashing into your body, it does the same thing to you that it does to most creatures. So you need a little bit of a level up. And that's when you meet up with this goblin. And he's like, hey, I actually got that level up that you're looking for. And for the first time in Warcraft, not for first. Actually, I think there's a Northrend quest where you use the Goblin Shredder. Don't quote me on this. For maybe the first time in Warcraft, you hop in your Goblin Shredder and you go to work on these Sentinels and their siege machines to level the playing field just a little bit. And when all the dust settles, the gates of Azshara stand unbroken, and you manage to repel the Night Elf invaders. And with the front stabilized, you're now dispatched to continue making your way into Azshara, helping the goblins continue to create masterful weapons for the Horde war machine wherever that you can, or help whoever the Horde needs you to help. And that's where you come into contact with quite possibly the craziest fucking thing that Azshara in general is just insanity. Blizzard saw this zone that they were like, damn, we didn't put anything there. And they were like, what if we just put, like, not even like quest-wise, but just like everything there. They're like, what if we have a golf resort? What if we have a Mount Rushmore? What if we have a
highway,
a 6-lane highway? What if we have an orbital cannon? But yeah, so Azshara's changed a lot since the goblins arrived. It's really hard to describe just how much has changed. But yeah, as we've said, there is now this like technological highway that you can just fly across on a rocket. And this is one of my first core memories of playing World of Warcraft, is coming across this thing and being like, what the hell? And then riding across it and being like, all right, that was pretty cool. I'll give them that. I didn't even mean to go on that fucking tangent. But yes, as you look about all of these wonderful, creations, I don't even know if you can say wonderful, because one of them is Galliwix's big fat fucking head, and man, it is every ounce as ugly as the man himself. At least his palace resort does look quite nice, though they say that they literally stripped an entire they moved an entire mountain to build it there. So Jesus, couldn't have just built somewhere. Never mind. Not gonna tell the goblins how to do their job. But yes, you continue to sabotage Night Elf agents. You continue to help the Horde as you make your way into these mines, and you fight off basilisks, and you do all sorts of stuff to restore productivity to the land, because that is what is important to the goblins and to the Horde. Productivity. Where eventually you come across this figure known as Commander Molotov. Again, phenomenal naming, of the Bilgewater Battalion. And he's like, hey, we need reinforcements over here on this beach. We got Naga. They're making their way up the coastline, and we're going to need help defending it here. And you show up and you're like, hey, I'm the guy that they mentioned on the radio, the one that rips heads. And they're like, phenomenal. And the Naga show up, they say basically nothing to you, and they die a terrible death. After you kill all of them, you go off and survey this wonderful lake, and some goblins begin arguing with Blood Elf whether they should study this magical lake or if they should just build a nice 2,000-acre parking lot over top of it. Maybe a Walmart. Who knows? But as you are having this debate, some of the magical energies actually manages to control this goblin's dozer, and you are sent further south to flee and bring reinforcements against this humongous possessed robot that they call the Dozer-sism.
What a name.
Some of the content is good. Some of it is fucking stupid, but it is also the goblins, so I can't take anything that they do seriously.
I do love the Mount Rushmore. You talked about that already, right?
Galliwix's big head.
Mm-hmm.
We need to add more. Put Gazlo up there. And Resnick.
Honestly, not a bad idea.
And Graffiti Galliwix, obviously. But you end up meeting up with Assistant Greeley, who we also might remember from the Goblin starting zone back in the Lost Isles, who ends up saving you from the exploding volcano after all the zombie goblins. And again, absolute goblin insanity that goes on. And they're like, hey, there's this nearby secret lab, this hub that was once for Bilgewater experimentation. And there's some fires that managed to explode throughout, and all the technicians had to flee. So I need you to get in that lab, stabilize it, save all that equipment, and then I'll be able to go and help you with the haunted bulldozer. So you're like, all right, cool. You go in to this secret lab, and you discover what is known as an Azshara core, a glowing mineral sample of immense value, and you take it back to Greeley, and she's like, this is one of the rarest and most powerful substances in Azshara. It's capable of amplifying energy and fueling goblin technology, and the player navigates the wreckage and unstable reactors, retrieving this core, ensuring its safe return. And she's like, good, this is going to revolutionize goblin technology. And when I read the name Azurite, I was like, oh, is this like Azurite? Like, is this the first time, like, maybe they just, like, misnamed it or something at first? No. This turns out to be stone giant shit. And I am not even joking.
What is it called? Azurite?
Azurite? I guess Azsharite?
They're sharting.
Apparently, I mean, it is giant shit, so. But yes. As you try to entice this giant to produce more for you, he unfortunately informs you that he only produces his poops once every 15 to 25 years. So, unfortunately, it's not quite on cycle. But you end up giving this core to her anyway, despite it not being necessarily as magic as it seems. And she's like, cool, I'm going to take this back to Bilgewater Harbor. I'm going to go help out with that bulldozer of death. You should go talk to that person over there. They look like you're trying to get your attention.
Hey, you know how you're always telling people to listen to Tides of Lore?
Of course, I am my own biggest fan.
Well, now it's even easier. We're on Apple Podcasts, Audible, Castbox, Spotify, and YouTube.
So I can tell them wherever you listen that they can just hit subscribe or follow.
Exactly. No matter where you are, Azeroth Stories will find you.
And you see this sharp-tongued female goblin who's like, hey, I work for the Blue Dragon Aspect Caligos. And you're just like, this place is too much. What is even happening here? And the Aspect is requesting aid from you. And you're like, okay, cool. So you go. You meet with Caligos.
The fate of the world hangs in the balance.
And Caligos is like, hey, I'm looking for this other blue dragon that people have said they've seen around this area. Azure Ghost, you might have heard of him. Yeah, we haven't seen him in a while. So we're trying to locate him. So you follow all these magical readings. You come across this Murloc who actually speaks perfect fluent language. And you're just like, fascinating. Apparently he learned it from the dragon. But eventually this all leads you down this crazy quest line where you're mistaken for being this Archmage's apprentices. And then to continue down your path of searching for Azurgos, you end up becoming Archmage apprentices, which the concept of that as like an orc warrior sounds just fucking hilarious to me.
An orc warrior what?
An Archmage apprentice. Soon, brother. Soon he
Like
will learn the ways of the arcade. No, it's just part of this goofy quest. This guy's basically insane, but he does know where Azurgos is. He's like, hey, yeah, last time I saw him, he was over by my tower. He was talking mad game to that spirit healer, which if someone asked a while ago, they're like, did the spirit healers have any lore? Not really, but apparently they do have a little bit of lore where Azurgos specifically spits game and has a like romantic attraction to the spirit healer in Azshara.
Can you see it?
You go and you're like, hey, Azurgos, we need your, like, Caligos is calling you up. We need your help. And he's sitting there talking, macking her up. He's like, so, shoddy.
I thought you can only see him when you're dead.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the mage is like, go through this portal. It might sting a bit. And then you go, and I imagine it actually kills you because then, you go to the Great Realm. But yeah, you go, you get Azurgos, you take him to Kellic, and Kellic's like, how did your Mackin game go? He's like, you cock blocked me. And he's like, that's a shame. Anyway, we have bigger problems. There are black dragons about. They're kind of scouting out what the mortals of Azeroth are doing. And last time I checked, black dragons are still kill on sight. So we got work to do. So you go, you aid Azurgos, you aid Kellic, and you fight these black dragons and Twilight's Hammer cultists, and you slay them before they can relay any of their information back to the black dragon Deathwing. And the blue dragons are like, all right, well, that was an eventful little experience out here. We're gonna go lay low for a bit, but thank you. And then they fly off into the sunset, and you're like, well, that was fantastic. Anyway, I guess I'll continue doing my random goblin quests. And you do, where eventually you return to the site where the Naga were invading, because once again they are mounting another assault. And the goblins are like, all right, enough of this. And they set you up with this group known as the Gob Squad. And you are then tasked with them to go and infiltrate the ruins of Aldereth, which is where they believe the Naga are like staging these invasions from. And you go in there, you kill a big bad guy, you steal their magical artifact that they've been using to mind control sea giants, and everything once again seems to be all lovely and good in Azshara, except those goddamn night elves. They don't know when to stay down, because apparently they're mounting one final assault on Azshara, and here, you're needed once again. Veterans and fresh recruits alike assemble under the Horde's crimson banner. Your siege machines rumble, goblins, rockets screaming across the cliffs, and you are rallied for one final push to claim total control of Azshara. So you go, and you assassinate leaders, you slay certain defenders, and then you just bomb the fuck out of the Alliance Command Center into a smoldering ruin. And with that, that's a dub, right?
Easy
It's
dose.
not my fault I brought artillery. You should have thought of that.
Yeah, good.
Yep, basically. But yes, Azshara is now fully under Horde control. This victory for the Horde has been claimed, and despite this, there now is that ever-present Rome of World of Warcraft Cataclysm that is Ashenvale, as you have been given orders that the Horde is once again going to make a second offensive to try and claim Ashenvale for the Horde. I guess who hasn't learned their lesson now?
I mean, you don't attack Ashen or Azshara. It's right next to Orgrimmar. Even Ashenvale, dude.
Ashenvale belonged to the elves long before your people were in these lands.
Yeah, but then we took it.
That's right, Loktar. But yes, as you journey into Ashenvale, your journey is one that begins in silence. Not the peaceful kind, but that silence of being hunted. The woods whispering with danger and the scent of sap and blood clinging to the air as the forest floor is littered with the bodies of fallen orcs, their backs bristling with night elven arrows. Near the border where Azshara meets the Emerald Wilds, you meet a figure by the name of Kolg Gorespatter, who's like scanning the tree line with bloodshot eyes, his hand never straying far from his axe as you approach, and you're like, hey, what's going on over here? And he's like, they're in the fucking trees. And you're like, what do you mean? He's like, they're in the trees. And they are. There are hidden archers and stealthed night elves hidden all amongst the forest. And it is now your turn to go out there and handle them. So you do. You go out, you handle your first group of night elf scouts, and then they tell you, they're like, hey, they're waiting for you at the ramparts where apparently the true offensive is going to begin. So you go to the ramparts, this small little outpost in between the Barrens and Ashenvale. And as you arrive, you're greeted. They tell you that you're just in time, that the time has now come to subdue Ashenvale once and for all. And those Ashenvale skirmishers that are out there, those bowmen, once again, you're going to need to get out there and get some more night elf blood on your hands. So you do. You go out there. You meet with this figure by the name of Troon, who tells you that supplies are tight and that you need to go and make sure to assist the supply lines so that the true invasion of Ashenvale can actually begin. And what that starts with is apparently gathering arrows that have already been fired from the dead. Go get your arrows. As you return with all your salvage arrows, you're given this grim approval, and they tell you that this will hold us off until the rest of the shipments can arrive. And with that, he hands you this vial of a thick green salve, and he's like, now it's time to go and, I guess, actually help out the people that have been injured. And you go, you apply this salve to a bunch of people, restoring all of these warriors. You continue moving through the carnage, returning strength to all of their limbs, where eventually the horns of the ramparts sound once more, and above the tree line, the rhythmic pounding of drums signals a new offensive. Every arrow reclaimed, every soldier healed, every battle won feeds into the greater campaign, and the Horde's foothold in Ashenvale grows stronger and stronger with each act of survival and defiance. And as this war continues to deepen, Kadrak, your leader, is like, hey, our deadliest assassin, Gorat. I'm trying not to laugh at these names, man, but fuck me.
It's like Gorat.
It is literally, it's almost spelled the same way, too. But yeah, apparently he's gone silent over by the Fallen Sky Lake, so you need to go, and you need to find him. And you do. But unfortunately, it's exactly as you might imagine. This man is lying amongst a bunch of corpses, his armor torn, his mission seemingly unfinished, as his killer seems to be stalking the shadows. As you kneel beside him, he stirs one last time, presenting a small vial filled with his own blood into his hand, and he says he'll know what to do. And you're like, wow, that's a bit weird, man, but all right. You take this back to Kadrak, and you hand him the blood, and he's like, I don't believe you. And you're like, well, he's dead, I promise, for realsies. And he's like, take the blood to the shaman and give it to them, and they can use it for a ritual. And with that, they'll be able to give us the name of the person who ended up slaying my ever so badass assassin. So you go, you do this magical ritual with this blood, and you find out that there's this figure by the name of Captain Elendilad, this night elf commander that is responsible for Gorat's death. So now you have your target. But first, you have the war. As you go into this Warsong lumber camp, you find that these people aren't working. Why not? As these arrows are raining down from the canopy, their morale seems to be a bit shattered, but that's crazy because you didn't ask. You said cut lumber, not hide in terror. So you go, you give the peons a little bit of a smack around as they deserve, and they get back to work. The trees must once again fall. They must continue feeding the fires of the Horde war machine. As you find out that the reason that these dudes have even been so efficient is the shredders that they're supposed to be using have been completely rusted from neglect. So you go out, you collect some oil from these slimes, and you get these bad boys operating again. The Horde war machine must be productive. But from there, you get terrible news. Splinter Tree Post is under siege from the north. So with that being the case, you go on over there, and on your way there, you run into this ancient creature by the name of Sharp Talon, this feral protector of Ashenvale, and you chop its head off to bring it back to your leader as a nice token.
Wait, you do that in Classic?
I know you do. A lot of this stuff you actually kind of do in Classic, but you do it again.
Interesting.
Good. But yes, as the Night Elves close in on Splinter Tree Post, you and Gorka mount up on a Kodo and charge through the ambush after ambush, breaking through the enemy lines to deliver word of the siege to Cadric. As the ramparts erupt into motion, war horns blare, banners rise, and the Horde rides out. And as trees collapse under fire and glaives shatter and arrows turn the air black, you carve your way through the Night Elf's ranks alongside Gorka and Cadric as the rhythm of war pounds beneath the Kodo's hooves next to you, and when the smoke clears, the elves are scattered and their command center is raised. The cost is high, but the bodies litter the field, and the Horde stands victorious once again. Ashenvale burns anew. And they're like, well, that went fantastic. As a matter of fact, you should take this bloodied axe that we just used to kill so many people and give it to the shaman. We should do another ritual to empower our people some more. And you're like, that is such a good idea. So you go, you do the shamanistic ritual to empower your people with this freshly bloodied weapon. And with this, the Horde war effort continues to sweep through Ashenvale as these hunting parties make their way about the forests. And all of this momentum eventually leads you to Silverwing Outpost, where, hey, this is a place that got fucked up last time. Those Night Elves have rebuilt this place. Well, we're going to have to teach them this time, don't we? So you go in there with this figure by the name of Torek and all of his raiders, and you launch this full-scale assault and cut down all of the defenders, slaying the captain and scattering the last resistance of this outpost. This victory now hanging over another portion as you begin burning your way further and further through Ashenvale. But that is where you run into a little bit of a problem, and that is something that's not Night Elves, or at least not anymore. Demons. You've come across a bunch of these satyrs, these Xavians and these Satranar, where they're beginning to open all these portals that are bleeding fell into the land, as well as letting all of their nasty, nasty demons into this world. Who wants that? No.
But if it gets you the Xavier shoulders in later expansions, I'm okay with it.
Exactly. But that exact purpose is why they're all going to have to die, and that's exactly what the Horde thinks. So you go in, you start chopping down these satyrs, you start shutting down their portals, you start slaying any demons that would dare try and corrupt this land. And amid all this chaos, you encounter that figure that I was talking about, Draka, who is Splinter Tree's war engineer, this brilliant, ruthless figure burning with ambition. And against orders, she unveils that she has this new plan to harness the fell fire that these demons were using for new weapons. Her eyes gleaming with this dangerous conviction, she commands you to go and collect all this fell fire essence and cursed ore, and with that they'll make missiles that will burn the elves from their very roots. And well, apparently you don't see any problems with that because you do it. And you collect that for her, even though the shaman's like, whoa, that's like totally not okay. And she bombards the fuck out of these elves using this this contraption magic combination. It's hard to describe. But yes, as she's dripping with pride, continuing this war on her own terms. I guess her time kind of runs out, as I guess you would say, because they're like, yeah, you're going to be court-martialed. I'm going to need you to come and talk to command. And she's like, okay. And she goes and she tries to say, I'm sorry, but they're not buying too much of it, though we don't really know too much of what happens after that, as she fairly disappears from the story at that point. But at least we know that some people aren't down with Fell.
That's where they draw the line?
It seems to be the line, yes. But yes, as this war in Ashenvale continues to spill west, you make your way for the misted coast of the Zoram Strand, where you find the land rising before you. There you see Horde banners snapped in the salted wind, warships anchored along a battered shore as the air reeks of smoke, where Orcish sailors patch holes in the hulls of their ships and drive stakes into the wet sand. And you arrive. You're like, hey, what's going on here? What happened to all of our ships? And they're like, was it the Night Elves? And they're like, nah, actually, this time it was the Naga and all their spellcasters and all their tomfoolery that they get up to, and especially their big, nasty dog creature that they got, this Hydra. So I need you to handle, like, all of those things. And you're just like, I can definitely handle literally all of those things. So you go out there, you slay as many Naga as you need, you collect their shiny crystals for yourself, as well as any other loot, obviously. And you go to face off against that Hydra that they seem to have brought with them, Vorka the Lasher. Hey, another one returning. This one that gives you the ring?
Yeah, you kill it in by the Naga up in Black Fathom Depths, so you do an escort quest, and it comes out of the water, right?
Yes, sir.
That's crazy. That was in Classic. I like how a lot of these things you kill in Classic, but then they're
just like, you didn't get me, bitch.
Yeah, I don't understand.
It didn't strike me, though. But yes, you are the Horde's finest, so you charge into these shallow waters, you face off against this Hydra, all its different heads roaring at you, and you send it packing into Davy Jones' locker for the next level 20 that's going to come through the area. Who knows? But as the waters run red but calm, the Horde's banners fly triumphant as you are then told that the Zoram Strand is secure and the Horde war effort can now begin to push in from the coastline as well. So you turn your attention inland towards the main Night Elf settlement that is remaining, Astronar.
Yeah, I've heard of that place.
It's a pretty important place, if I say so myself. But before you can get to Astronar, these critical forest roads that link Astronar having been blocked, the supply lines begin to falter and ambushes begin to multiply under the moonlit canopy, as you are then given orders that were simple. No mercy, no survivors, and you lead this savage counteroffensive, slaying the enemies and burning their barricades that are choking the roadways until the cries of the dying echo through all of the lands, carving a path straight to Astronar. So, you go. You harass the Night Elves in Astronar a little bit. You ambush some skirmishers who don't see you coming, silencing them before they could rally any reinforcements. And with all of this, you're rewarded by doing the most noble type of combat that you possibly can. Because, of course, you meet up with a goblin, and they're like, here's a bunch of unstable explosives.
The guy. America.
The Horde really likes their bombs in this day and age. And they tell you, they're like, we're going to crack Astronar like an egg. But first, I need something special. Some moon-kissed clay from the riverbanks near their wards. That's the last ingredient that we're going to need. And you're like, okay, cool. So you go. You collect this rare reagent, and you kind of revel in the irony that you will be using this essentially blessed soil that is under the wards of the Light of Elude to destroy this city with. As the goblins' excitement is clearly uncontainable as they say, watch this, strapping explosives to a broken wagon, slamming the trigger as it hits the edge of Astronar, the detonation splitting the night, sending ash, splinters, and echoing goblin laughter into the wind. Perfect, they shout, as you then hop aboard a makeshift glider and begin dropping more fucking bombs into the forest and Astronar, breaking the bridges, breaking barriers, and crushing any of Astronar's remaining defenses from the sky.
Ashenvale gets bombed into oblivion.
Your fortunate son playing.
I'm surprised there's not like radiation, like Fallout, you know?
I mean, we'll get to the irradiated places soon enough, right?
It's beautiful. It's not radiated.
Oh, I know. Or I'm talking about another place that gets bombed.
Oh.
Is essentially irradiated from the story perspective. Yeah, but we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there.
I hate the humans.
But yes, now you make your way into Astronar, slaying any of the remaining sentinels that dare try and challenge you, raising the head of the captain up high, saying, behold, the moon guardians have been slain. The forest's claws have been broken. As the war drums thunder through the night, Astronar's walls tremble on the horizon. Ashenvale, soon in its entirety, will belong to the Horde. And even as Astronar burns, there's actually seeming to be a little bit of a bigger problem. I mean, you got some side quests, like you gotta go take some crates over to some people who need it. You gotta go and fight this keeper of the grove that's been causing all these problems. Tim's favorite keeper, Ordonis. Play the clip of Tim nearly dying.
Oh shit! In hardcore with Cargo's watching. Yeah, I remember
that one.
I won.
You did win. That fight is so scary though. If I was not playing Rogue or something, I would not have ever done it, I swear. But all of that is menial to the dire news that Thunder Peak, this mountain that is apparently not a mountain, is exploding into a volcano's fury as this lava begins pouring down into the forest of Ashenvale. And as it seems to be raining like brimstone from the heavens, choking the very land itself with smoke. You've obviously now been given a bit of a new target. As a reminder, the cataclysm happened. The elemental plane has gotten far too close to the mortal realm of Azeroth, and now, despite the cataclysm cinematic seeming to make it seem like it all immediately happens, we've been getting all sorts of earthquakes, tsunamis, shit that's just been going on for weeks on end. And the latest one is this brand new volcano that seems to have found its way to Ashenvale. As you're given orders by Kadrek to go and gain the blessings of the shaman, gain the powers of the earth and water itself, to go and face off against this new molten fire, as you look up at the top of this volcano and see this massive fire elemental. I mean, this was like the first time that one of those other core memories where I remember like looking up at this volcano and being like, that's one big motherfucker.
Does look pretty cool.
But yes, you seal these fissures, you use the water to stem the rivers of lava and these black veins, and you eventually come face to face with Lord Magmathar, the massive elemental at the top, this towering fire lord of living flame that seems to just split the ground anew with lava at his will. And you call upon the wind, lightning, along with your obviously impressive physical prowess, and you smack that bitch back to the Firelands. With a final clash of thunder and flame, he smothers out, and you have managed to save the day once again as Thunder Peak stands still and silent once more, the air growing clean, the land growing still, the forest seemingly spared from the elemental destruction, as you now begin to revel in the fact that it will bathe in your destruction. But that is all that we have to talk about today. I had intended to have this all lead up to Mount Hyjal, but unfortunately, I didn't realize how big the Ashenvale story actually ends up being. So I'm kind of happy we didn't. I mentioned this to Tim, but like I feel like it would have been weird to split some of like the 1 to 30 content that is the new leveling experiences with the 80 content. So we'll see how we handle that. But for now, yes, that is how we have to talk about. Tim, questions, comments, concerns?
I think you should send it into Mount Hyjal.
I should send it into Mount Hyjal right now?
No, next episode.
Oh yeah. Okay. I think I'm down for that. I think that would be a good idea. I mean, and the thing is, just Hyjal also is so massive. Like you have whole raids and stuff that go on there, as well as their whole quest chain. So yeah, we'll definitely, I think, get into that next episode. Though, admittedly, like I said, I wanted to throw the Horde a bone here, because I figured Tim, if anything, would be tired of talking about Night Elf stuff.
This was still Night Elf.
I guess you're right, but it's from the other side. You like watching them die. So fair enough. But yes, if you guys did make it this far, please make sure you guys drop us a like, a comment, a subscribe. Actually, there's this new feature on YouTube. I've only seen certain accounts that have it. For some reason, Tides of Lore has it, but my personal account doesn't. Within the first 7 days of a video being posted, you can see sometimes an option that says hype, and that really helps to boost us up in the algorithm. So if you do see an option that says hype, and you are so generous as to smash that sheesh.
Tides of Lore hype. Tides of Lore hype.
Tides of Lore hype. We'd really appreciate that. If you're over on Spotify, 5 stars, following the channel would be amazing. But you guys have been killing it. I've really appreciated you guys' support over these last, it's kind of crazy to say, but within the next 3 episodes, we're going to be passing our 1-year anniversary of the channel. So that is just an insane concept to think about. So just thank you so much for everything that you've helped us to build. If you want to help us to continue to build stuff, you can check us out on Patreon. We do offer both free content and paid content over there. So if you want to check that out, check that out. But until next week, you guys, we'll see you later. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this episode. Your guys' support truly means the world to us. If you're interested in hearing more, we have our full show on YouTube and Spotify, new episodes dropping every Tuesday. I also want to take this moment to give a special thank you to Fantasy Lo-Fi for providing the music for this episode. You can find them on YouTube at Fantasy Lo-Fi or on Spotify under Bits and Hits. Be sure to show them some love, as their music does truly bring this journey to life. Once again, thank you for joining us on Tides of Lore, and we will see you next week.